Hi, today I want to talk about these two. The camera will focus. This is Cuba Hot and Cuba Gold. They're both TLDR. This is like Jean-Paul Gaultier's Scandal, and this is Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Mail. I have neither of those fragrances, and I'll briefly explain what put me onto these and why I chose them. Actually, why I quite like them both. I'm wearing them both quite a lot, alternating between the two. They've both been good for this summer. I don't know if I can really put them anywhere that you're going to see them. Probably somewhere down here, maybe. I don't know. That's a bit suspicious looking, but whatever. They are what they are. One of my favorite fragrances of all time was Clean Comfort. And this is just a general men's deodorant by Dove. Dove Men's Care Clean Comfort, if it will focus. Kind of just classic. I like this as well as like a brand called Mitchum. Mainly because it doesn't really smell of anything. This one does, but this is a new one. I have always really liked this smell. This is really, really nice. Recommend it. Getting quite expensive this day and age with deodorant and stuff. And obviously this is where kind of most men's fragrances kind of get ripped off initially, is with your deodorants, right? For me, like finding out like Dracar Noir was kind of what shaving cream actually smelt like. Not it didn't obviously initially start like that, but that's kind of what we ended up with. And so this smells. I looked online. People said this smells a bit like Le Mail. I've never tried it. I will do next time I'm around. The problem with Le Mail is, for me, is, as I'm sure you're aware, it's quite expensive and it's a bit more out of the position where I don't really want to pay that if I can get that for like what is basically $10 for 100 mils, and this is an EDT. So anyway, enough ranting. So that was basically, the Dove is meant to be a copy-ish of Le Mail, apparently. So that was interesting. And then one of my other favorite fragrances that I mentioned in the previous video, and it's been long discontinued, is Lynx Adrenaline. It's another brand that's called Axe, I think, around the world. This is ginger and iced musk. And I think there's other like tonka bean and other stuff in it as well. This has annoyingly gotten very expensive for one of these bottles. I said about this in the video. It was a fragrance I enjoyed in like high school, and it's always been one of my favorites. Never really thought much of it, right? It's just kind of sat there in the back. I'm a bit upset that this got so expensive. And I don't know how I ended up with Cuba Hot. I think I ended up this is kind of a by chance, I suppose. I ended up seeing this because it wasn't on a certain website. And I looked at the notes, and the notes sounded interesting. And to be honest, this smells really similar. I'm wearing this one today again. This smells very similar to this ice musk and ginger. Now, I don't think it's got the ginger in it, and this is meant to be a copy of JPG's Scandal, which again I've never smelt. People say it's meant to be very close. Again, like $10 for 100 mils, right? It's if you're even half interested, it's worth giving it a go. I've enjoyed both of these. They don't last too long. That's probably the downside of it. They last as long as like the deodorant probably does, right? They last probably about 5 hours. You get a bit more out of that, GG. You can go a bit more sprays with these. It's a good sprayer actually on both of them, but yeah, generally been quite impressed with these. You were not going to get me anytime soon wearing 50 quid cents every day. It's just, there's no point. So this is like being like $10, the same, almost cheaper than your deodorant, right? So this is the Gold, Cuba Gold. I think it's the most popular. £10 delivered. This is on eBay, right? There's no affiliation there. And then this is on Perfumo. Again, no affiliation, just forward, check it out. The other fragrance we're going to look at isn't actually on the main website that everyone looks at. So Cuba Gold, it notes here, pink pepper, grapefruit, lavender, vetiver, vanilla, and amber. It's nice. It's really nice. Very laid back. I recently went to a comedy event in one of the big towns near me recently, and I would say there was a majority of people were wearing Le Mail or some form of Le Mail. Not by any means repulsive or anything. It was actually quite enjoyable. I was just surprised that this entire sort of theatrical lobby that we're all waiting in, getting all the before you go into the actual theatre, Yeah, it seemed like everyone was wearing it. It was a very hot day. You know, it was about 25 sort of degrees maybe. For the UK, okay, that's quite warm. Okay, in the evening. People think that's quite funny, but for UK, it's quite warm. It was obviously summer. Yeah, I was quite surprised with that. Yeah, it was nice. I enjoyed that. I don't think I was wearing it. I think I was wearing something else. But I did notice a lot of people wearing that. I think I was wearing Fahrenheit or something random because I don't normally wear that sort of thing. Yeah. Overall, I recommend it. If you're even half interested, or if you like Le Mail anyway, if you've got Le Mail already, should you get this? Probably not. It might ruin it for you. You might end up selling it, but you know, whatever, if that's what you want to do. And then Cuba Hot. Cuba Hot, same deal. You can't find this on another website for some reason, but it is for sale. I don't know. I think this has been out for a while. It's kind of a bit wishy-washy to find some details on these fragrances. The House Cuba Paris, I think it's meant to be quite an established sort of knockoff brand. Like they've been around for a while. But don't quote me on that. It's a little bit hard to find some of the information to do with the brand. But anyway, yeah, Cuba Hot, try this. And again, it's nice. I recommend it. The notes here, I'll read them off and you'll probably find it's quite interesting as well. Clary sage, mandarin orange, bergamot, lemon, caramel, tonka bean, patchouli, white musk, vetiver, and moss. So that's honestly probably the big difference is that it seems. I mean, it's links, right? At the end of the day, what do you expect? But it does seem this has got quite a pungent, sharp smell of like I guess the ginger and like the musk, and the Cuba Hot hasn't really got that. It's way more in like the sort of the Mandarin. It's just way more out there. So it's basically the same, but except it's more Mandarin, right? Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. I recommend both of them. I recently had a couple of comments on saying if I found anything for this. Well, I kind of did, but it was this. But you know, it's not identical. If you're going to put the two together, there's definitely this is a lot more brighter. You know, again, if we can find anything similar to this, let me know. I'll be down to give it a try. But for price point and for how long they last, I say I've been wearing these a lot both this summer. I really recommend them. Will I try others in the line? I'm not so sure. I think others in the line are copies of like Azaro and maybe even like some Davidoff, and I've already got some of those, so I'm not really so interested in dabbling. It was mainly because of the price point of the originals that these are trying to sort of replicate. Are kind of expensive, and I'm not willing to throw that money. Especially JPG, you could spend like over $100 for like a tin or whatever, and that's just not worth. I can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, leave a like. Just rambling as usual. But yeah, recommend them. They're very nice. Very nice. Say no affiliation or anything, but yeah, GG. See you in the next video. Bye.